And she said, welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
Mark's always saying, and she said this.
He's got a lot to say he's got some issues, women issues, you know.
I want to see him like in a deposition and the defense attorney is like, well, it says here, she said, nah. Is that true, Mr. Hoppus?
I mean, he ran out of things for her to say, so all she could say was nah.
So, welcome to the channel. If you haven't seen us talk in Enema of the States, I'll throw it up here in the corner. That was Stephanie hearing that for the first time. I am very familiar with this band and their whole discography, and the important context to understand here is that we both love the Untitled album from 2003.
Yeah, you got me on that album.
It's
years ago.
So good. It's been with me since I was 13. I love every second of it. I know it like the back of my hand. I think it's a masterpiece that really pushed the genre forward, and together with American Idiot, sort of halted it for a bit because it was like, well, I think we've taken this as far as we can go, boys.
What else are we going to do now?
And now it's kind of trickling back, and Blink is sort of on top again as this major touring act. A lot of people saying this is peak Blink. We got a new album coming soon. So what better time to have you hear the follow-up for the first time? 2001's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
As always, it's a double entendre.
I'm so glad 2003's record was just Untitled.
Yeah, we don't need the jokes all the time.
Now, full context, I guess. Obviously, you'd heard First Date.
Yeah, and Rock Show, of course.
And Rock Show, maybe Stay Together for the Kids.
I felt like I hadn't heard it, and then the chorus, and I was like, I maybe have heard this, or else it just kind of sounds like other Blink songs.
You've probably heard it once or twice before, but mostly you are completely unfamiliar with this record.
Right, yeah.
Now, I had this record when I was a kid on a mini disc, I believe, and I think for some reason it was clean. And the fun thing about that is the track Happy Holidays, You Bastard was listed as Happy Holidays and was instrumental.
I was reading the Wikipedia. There's the last line is in it, right? Or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It just says like, I'll never talk to you again. And then it ends. So I just thought it was instrumental for a while.
You missed hot dog references and Christmas and Labor Day and swear words.
So let's get into this. I want to start by throwing out the exact same disclaimer that we do in our Enema of the State video. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 33. I don't really relate to these lyrics anymore. Obviously, there's some like immature stuff going on. Probably some lines that these guys wouldn't stand behind today. But I think with this band, it's really important to maybe breeze past that a little because there's always a lot more to talk about. A high level of musicianship, amazing production by Jerry Finn, really creative, strong pop songwriting and structure. So probably going to be focusing on that, but I'm sure we'll take some jabs at the lyrics here and there.
Yeah, I mean, stuff I wrote at that age probably doesn't stand up either.
I would hate for anything I wrote in my early 20s to be a massive mainstream record that people still listen to.
So, yeah. I do want to say, like, so you were like, okay, you got to read the Wikipedia because it gives like a lot of really good context, and it does. I highly recommend it to anyone else who maybe will listen to this for the first time or never like found out any background information. My favorite little tidbit, which I want to start with because First Date is the first song I really had any notes for even.
Okay.
Is that, you know, they made this album, they like made a bunch of songs, and then the label was like, there's not like a Blink-182 like summer, it's not like a fun, you know, like silly song. And so they both went home and it says, this might be apocryphal, but the Mark wrote Rock Show in 10 minutes.
Yeah. It
might not be fully true. It could be fully true. And then Tom wrote First Date, like similarly.
That night, yeah.
And if that's true, like sure, Rock Show's a pretty dumb song. Mm-hmm. It's very fun. That's really strong songwriting. If you can write that song in 10 minutes, that's like better than what most people could ever write in their life.
That's exactly why this band is so interesting to talk about. Mm-hmm. They have pop sensibilities ingrained into their DNA, all three of them. And the way they piece songs together, parts that can stack during the last chorus, and just they know how these songs should be. And that makes them very, very impressive, even if, like, yeah, I think all the lyrics to The Rock Show are stupid.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, it's like, who cares?
I mean, if you took the time to sit down and like write better lyrics to that, then it would be a, you know, totally different song. I think First Date actually has pretty good lyrics.
Really?
In retrospect, because here's why I say that. Because he's being vulnerable a little bit here.
That's true, which we did praise Mark for on the last record.
Yeah, it's like, I'm nervous to go on this date. Not like, I'm a guy and like, I want to do stuff with this girl. It's like, you know, it's like, I like this girl. I'm really nervous about what's going to happen on the date. Like, the girl's, you know, it's a little pop song. You don't find out about her personality or like even really what she looks like. But she's not presented in any sort of negative way. It's like, this girl's so awesome. Like, I really want to have like a good date with her and like what's going to happen. And I think that's really cool that a band like Blink would write a song like that for guys to listen to.
That's a really good point. It's something, you know, yes, in similar fashion on Enema, we had Going Away to College, where Mark shows like total vulnerability about being like terrified.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way, because I'm always just like, oh God, do you like my stupid hair is the line you landed on? Like, I'm always just, I'm distracted by that. But that's really interesting to think about, especially back then in 2001. You know, they're on top of the world. It's probably kind of risky and scary to show some vulnerability, but they kind of always do.
Yeah, so that's what I liked. I just thought it was like kind of lyrically kind of a cute song. And I'm thinking like Avril Lavigne stuff around the same time, you know, it's in that vein. And it was nice for a guy to, you know, express some like emotion like that. And so good job. I mean, also, you know, in the Wikipedia entry, you find out like that they basically had to like push this album out because their record label wanted to have their quarterly revenue met. So they're like, you got to make us money. It's your job. And they're like, we're like, how old were they? Like 20?
20 something.
Yeah. Like,
so that is a really important thing to bring up. And reading the Wikipedia, you start to get a story. You start to get a sense of why this happened and why some of the lyrics are the way they are. And it's because they were incredibly, incredibly rushed. They had to put this record out really quick. They were feeling the pressure, and it's very hard to write in that kind of scenario, I imagine.
Yeah, and all the band members actually like coming off of Enema of the State had like different directions they wanted to go also with the band. There was, you know, someone wants to do the same thing over again because it was so fun. Someone else wants to move forward. Someone else is listening to like different kind of music and wants to so, you know, like it's actually impressive that the production and like the instrumentation is so high level.
Yeah.
And I think lyrics were maybe the last thing that they could even get to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, this does have some darker stuff. It does have some darker, heavier guitar tones. Ultimately, this is what ends up splitting the band up the first time. But I want to talk about intention for a second, because, okay, the intention here was to, whether they wanted to or not, rush out a sequel, basically. And I think it's incredibly effective. It's incredibly effective in that sense. But the intention of Untitled was, let's move into a house for a year and just be as creative as possible and push what our band means, and like rewrite songs over and over and try different sounds and instruments and stuff. So, you know, you have to examine the intention too. I can't compare the two records really, because they were made for completely different purposes.
Yeah, and with completely different attitudes and time constraints.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, before I listened to this, kind of what you said to me was like, just listen to the drums, listen to the guitars, and the lyrics, you know, don't like and it's hard for me because lyrics are like a big thing for me.
Right, yeah.
But I think the lyrics were not as bad as they were I was expecting most of the time.
Sometimes the funny ones hit for me. Like, let's dial it back. Let's go. We kind of jumped in on First Date, which is like track 4. So we
Okay.
have to back up a bit. Opening the record, we have Anthem Part 2, which is a little confusing because Anthem on Enema of the State was about a very different topic. I think this is maybe just a fun thing to name the song to kind of carry it over and really drive the point across that, yeah, this is kind of a follow-up. It is very much like a sequel.
Yeah.
Here's part 2.
And I think there was a lot of times they were like, just like with the interlude and maybe with the title of that song, if the label was saying, we need a sequel, they'll be like, well, this song has nothing to do with Anthem, but we'll call it Anthem Part 2 until the label to see it's like a sequel. They go together, right?
Now, I've heard rumors that I believe are maybe true that on this upcoming Blink-182 album that will apparently come out at some point in our lives, Anthem Part 3.
Whoa.
I guess that means it'll be good. I don't know. It's just a name. But, we have Rock Show, we have First Date. Those are my least favorite songs on the record. Then we move into some more interesting stuff on the back half. I think that Stay Together for the Kids is kind of that dividing line between the two halves. It's sort of the centerpiece of the album. And we had Adam's song on Enema was kind of the serious third single. Mm-hmm. The serious third single here is a lot more interesting, I think.
Oh, yeah. I actually, so if you were around a little before this album came out, as I was, Everclear, what was this? Wonderful came out. Huge song about his parents' divorce.
Okay.
How can you look at me with all these tears in my eyes and tell me everything will be wonderful now?
Gotcha. Okay.
Actually, really liked that song, and I think it's a really emotionally resonant song.
Okay.
About his parents' divorce, and very well written lyrically. And so this one doesn't quite compare favorably to that one lyrically. It's definitely honest emotionally, but not as thought through. It's just kind of very surface level. Not to put the song down. It is really I think great that he's writing about this topic and how it affected him, because it affects a lot of people.
I love the chorus.
Yeah.
I think So Here's Your Holiday. Hope you enjoyed it. This sort of bitter, angry looking back thing with this massive wall of sound that we've yet to hear from this band is super effective. When the first time that chorus kicks in, it's coming from a very subdued verse with a filtered hip hop drum loop from Travis. And when it hits, I think, probably the most effective moment on the album for me. And I really think that's a super strong chorus, and it is a huge, huge hint as to what's to come from Tom next. We'll get into that a little later. So further into the back half, do you have any notes on particular songs in the second half of the album? Because I think that half is way more interesting to me.
Okay, Reckless Abandon. I like that staticky intro.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think I was a little fatigued by... I thought a lot of the songs didn't start very interestingly.
Gotcha.
On this
Okay.
album, it's kind of the same thing. Yep, this is how that song starts.
Yeah.
And that gave you a little break, and it intrigued me. I think because I only listened to this once, going back, I'll be able to distinguish between different songs better. But that wasn't super apparent by the way they're started until here. And then I love that transition into Every Time I Look for You.
Is that when it kind of...
I think so, yeah. It's
that's
just
pretty cool.
goes right into it. So, we always love a song that's why Beyonce, you're the best, because that's all over.
Or the Night at the Roxbury soundtrack.
Yeah.
These albums that never stop. Yeah.
I think that should have been the single, especially based on how well Untitled did. I think that the Every Time I Look for You is sort of hinting towards where they're going in the future, and I think this could have been a single that gave them more, more respect, and could have also been just as popular.
It's nice to hear them swapping lines more.
Yeah.
Because obviously we get that all over the place on Untitled, and Feeling This is kind of the big introduction to hey, it's no longer a Mark song or a Tom song. We're going at it. And I agree. You kind of get that from Every Time I Look for You with them like sort of this A, B back and forth. And it just works so well. And it has that, I think that's the one with the big halftime breakdown.
Oh, okay.
Where, again, on this record, we're getting this darker, more distorted, big wall of guitars with big pounding drums. It's nothing like that is on Enema. That one's very clean. It has like a sheen to it. And now that's sort of roughened edge is starting to show on this one.
Yeah, I kind of wish it was a little rougher.
I agree.
It feels corporate. It feels like a corporate version of like what they wanted to do.
And it's interesting to read in the Wikipedia that like Tom was fighting back against that. He was listening to like Fugazi and stuff and Alkaline Trio and really wanted to inject some darkness and more deeper stuff and like bigger guitars and stuff. So Boxcar Racer is the band that follows. Ultimately, this is what decimates Blink and it's hard because you don't get Untitled unless Tom does Boxcar Racer, but it's also the reason they it's the initial spark of the breakup, the first breakup. But I think that's probably got to be our next Blink related video, right? As Steph hears Boxcar Racer for the first time.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If you want a whole record of like I'd say pretty much no jokes. No lightheartedness really at all. Pretty heavy, pretty introspective, very, very vulnerable, very dark. It's Tom, Travis, and 2 other musicians.
I mean, I have to say I don't really like my music to be funny most of the time. So that sounds great to me. Occasional joke or like wittiness is not gonna ruin something for me, but I'm
excited.
Let's see, do I have another
if you want to see that, make sure you hit the button down there because we'll do that soon.
Okay, sorry, I was looking at my notes.
Go for it. What are your notes?
There's like 2 more. Shut Up, I said instrumentally might be my favorite.
You know what's funny? Mark hates that song.
Oh, weird.
I think it's really good.
It's good. The lyrics aren't great.
They're not great, but they stand out to me. It's like one of the only times that like the use of the the swearing and stuff like I think is really effective because it's just like I think it does a very good job at getting across this sense of like I gotta get out of here. Like I have to leave this town. I'm so just pissed off at the world and I have to go. And I think that's what that song feels like.
Well, and the post-chorus is the best part.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the post-chorus.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs on the record. Mark bashes it all the time, says they'll never play it live. He hates it. He wrote the lyrics in 2 seconds, and I think it's got
to play Edging instead.
Hey, Edging's grown on me, okay? But I'd maybe lose Aliens Exist from the set list. Slot in Shut Up, please. Really good drumming by Travis on that track. Haven't really talked about Travis. We were guilty of that last time too.
Oh, Travis, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just like, what can you say? It's really good.
That's true. It's like there's not much to talk about. He's just incredibly good at what he does. I'll say what I said last time. It's 3 songwriters, He brings in interesting parts that make them change their parts. And the songs evolve in such a way because of him always elevating. And
if they had a different drummer, this band would be a mess. It would just be like,
well, they used to.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard the earlier stuff, but
it's just a lot more basic.
Yeah, like it would just be stupid jokes and like kind of lame lyrics and like even like normal good drumming. It would just kind of be like, haha, there'd be more novelty than like a band that's been around for however many years, 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people like the pre-Travis stuff if you like that sort of thing, but it's a lot of that like puka, 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 it's just like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they brought in someone that brings them to another level. You don't want to be the best musician in a room. You want your band member to be the best musician in the room to elevate you and make you go harder.
As long as you do, rise to the challenge. And I think, it takes them a while, but with Untitled, it really happens.
Oh, it all culminates with Untitled. That's a fantastic record. No more notes. The book is closed.
Just I kind of said it before, but the lyrics don't quite live up to the instrumentation. Great production. I wish some of the choruses were more creative musically, but they're just, they're there to be catchy. They're there to like hook you. So, again, Untitled pushes forward. So I'm glad we have that. This sort of in between, showing that like, yes, we are evolving even under all this like pressure from our record to be this kind of a band we don't want to be anymore.
They really pulled it off. Solid follow up, I'd say. Favorite track?
I don't think I could say yet. But yeah, what was the one that I said should have been the single?
Every time I look
for you, probably that one so far.
My favorite track is actually one we haven't discussed. It's track 2, Online Songs.
Oh, really?
I love a Mark mouthful, and I think that there is weird wordplay and, how do I say it, like word placement in the melody in the chorus that's really interesting. Your screen name used to be mine, and and like these offbeat words being the focus, where it's like da 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 da, and like Travis knows when to stop and like highlight that, and just some classic punk drumming. It's fun.
I think it was maybe a little too mouthfully for me.
Right. I like never knew the lyrics when I was a kid. I knew the lyrics like a year ago when I was finally like, what's that song say?
Now that you can just like look at the lyrics as you're listening on your phone instead of like having maybe the band put the lyrics on the little CD booklet.
Oh, they weren't in my clean version burned mini disc copy.
Yeah, because when iPods came around, you didn't have the little booklet. What were you going to do?
All right, we're running way over time. Stick around. We're going to talk Boxcar Racer soon. And, all right, I'll let you in on a little something. Just I'll show her plus 44 too. Just subscribe and I'll do it. There's a record that's just Mark and Travis and 2 other musicians, and I think it's amazing as well. Ooh. A lot of good stuff around this time. So we'll get to all that soon. Thanks for watching. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
And she said goodbye.